Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video, where today I'm doing my regular buffs and nerfs needed for the next balanced data slate. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Do you agree or disagree? Remember, just for fun, let me know. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Lemon Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But let's get on with the video. So today I'll be covering my buffs and nerfs suggested for kill team, #playtester, based on the quarter 2 stats for 2024, which I recently covered. So this is going off of the general win rates, the GT plus win rate, so events with 4 or more rounds and 16 or more players, and then GT long events, which is 5 or more rounds with 30 or more players, and also factoring how factions are winning and performing at events. So this is not based on what I want to hit on nerf, because otherwise it would be a much longer list. And then I won't be covering the Nightmare and Termination kill teams, mostly, pretty much, because like they're way too new. Like they're pretty much like 6 weeks old at most, so nothing's going to happen there. And this could actually likely be the last balanced data slate for the season, because we probably are going to get a new edition this year, and probably quite soonish, like maybe in 3 months. So by that time, it's probably very unlikely that we would get a balanced data slate. So this could be the last one we'll ever have for this edition of Kill Team. And remember, it's just for fun. It's just for fun. None of this is going to happen just because some of it happened last time and before and stuff doesn't mean all of this is going to happen or any of it's going to happen. It's just let's just have a good old time. So starting off with the buffs, we have Legionary. They've actually been quite underperforming in general, just for quite a bit. So I think the thing everyone agrees on is just Marks of Chaos are no longer roster locked. So they're still locked when you select your kill team, but you can now basically pick Tzeentch and Nurgle on the same roster, which is fine. And then another trend that we've seen with Warp Coven and also Nemesis Claw, basically just combining Hateful Assault and Malicious Volley as a 1 CP stratagem. So basically you can double fight or double shoot for 1 CP. I think that's fair because it feels a bit unfair for this kill team that they can either choose to double fight or double shoot. Just combining it makes it a lot better. And then also increase the Butcher's double-handed chain axe to 5 attacks, right? So at least he hits on 5, well, he hits on 4s, but at least he's 5 attacks. Hitting on 4s with 4 attacks feels a bit rough and is why most people don't use him. At least going to 5 attacks, it makes him a bit better. So with these changes, you can see more powerful rosters, just more efficiency from the kill team, because sometimes you actually don't have the CP to do double fire or double shoot. Might encourage the heavy bolter a bit more, and then just making the Butcher more useful. So just some minor buffs to make them a bit more better, considering they've kind of aged not as well as we thought they would have. Then for the Intercession Squad, they also have not been doing well at all. I know they are a beginner team, but they were too powerful at their peak, but I feel like they're too weak now. Considering they are such a popular mainstay faction, I think they deserve some buffs as well, pretty much based on the stats. So all I would do is basically allow Rapid to work with the charge action again, unless this was just a design decision, basically going forwards for the game. They don't want movement to affect charges. I think it'll be fine for Intercession, like just give them the extra 1-inch charge, and then also make Adaptive Tactics a 0 CP. Because no one really does it, and at least at 0 CP allows more experimentation with this kill team. Now you may go like, oh, basically because I can spend 1 CP to always swap a trait for free, I might as well expand a bit more. So it just gives the kill team a bit more flexibility while giving them a bit more punch as well, in a way that should just make them okay overall. Like nothing crazy. I think these are some interesting changes that would make both players playing into them being like, okay, this is fine to deal with, but people using them going like, oh yeah, this is actually fun, and kind of representing how adaptable in ways that Space Marines can be. Now we have the Scout Squad, one of the worst performing bespoke teams consistently since release. I think they've only had 1 month where they were above 45% in general, which is kind of depressing. So what I would do is, once again, make the sergeant's guidance and experience can pick any friendly operative in the kill zone instead of requiring visibility. So basically more synergy with Into the Dark and hiding operatives, because they all have comm units, so it doesn't make sense why he can't do that. Heavy gunners gain the cumbersome ability, so basically they can move 6 inches and shoot. They're scouts, it makes sense. Then also increasing the forward scouting selections from 7 to 5, so you just have some more playability around their faction ability, considering you only get to use it at the start of the game. And then I would also change Booby Trap from 1 selection to up to 3 times, once again giving more use to the Booby Trap, and kind of reflects how, you know, the Hernkyn Yaegirs can do it 3 times, well technically 5 times, but 2 are duds, in a much better way. So I think this is an interesting way and a nice way to buff the team without increasing their operative count, because I think increasing them to 10 operatives is the wrong decision. It kills their uniqueness and it makes other 10 model teams really hard to like justify. Like Novitiates at 10 operatives, you might as well just go make them 11, because, you know, they're just 7 wounds with a 4-up save. These are scouts with 10 wounds and a 4-up save. So I think if you tweak this, you don't have to add any operatives, but you make their faction ability more useful, while also making their operatives more flexible as well, which is what the scouts need, right? It reflects how they play without being like this weird hoardy Space Marine team. Next we have Kasrkin. I don't like this as much as most of the people here, but unfortunately Kasrkin have been doing horribly. We all thought they would like dominate, and the issue is this kill team is still good. Like, they mess up elites. Elites they just absolutely destroy, but elites aren't in a good spot in general at the moment. So the main problem this kill team has is hordes, but the problem, if you overbuff them when it comes to hordes, then they have no bad matchups. A lot of people have been saying give them +1 operative, but you literally cannot without breaking the box, because then they would go to an 11 operative team, and then literally just you'd have to buy 2 boxes to field 11 models, which isn't really fair. And I think there's better ways to buff this kill team. So one ways I would was just increase the combat blade to 2 equipment points, but goes to 4 attacks instead of 3. This just makes them slightly better at combat, considering you can make 2 operatives per turning point for APL. So it gives you more flexibility to go charge, fight, shoot more reliably. And, you know, you still have elite points to play around with. So just some nice reliability there. And then I thought about just making clearance sweep 0 CP +1. So the first time they use it is free. You know, it's basically a bubble of +1 elite points when you shoot or fight. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, just making that more usable by making it 0 CP for the first time they use it will just encourage more use. And who knows, maybe when people start using this ploy more, they might find more use with the kill team. It's just, Kasrkin are a really tough team to improve because they've already had so many changes. And if you just give them too many buffs where they just now walk over horde teams, they now have no bad matchups. So I think this is just a nice compromise for at least potentially the last time this edition. Now, this is the only new team I will be touching, and this is for the Hernkyn Yaegir. The only reason I'm saying this, look, I think they will get the +1 movement buff. The reason why is because if the Hernkyn Salvager go to 5 move, right, because their faction ability didn't do much, I think you can easily justify the Jaegers going to 5 inches. Because on the tabletop, they're 5-up save, but they're 6-inch movement, whereas all the other Votann are 5. This is the scouting force of the Leagues of Votann, and they move slower than their 3-up armor save Hernkyn Brethren. So just giving them +1 move is just a justifiable change, because it was probably done after they were designed. So just give them +1 move, they'll become more flexible. It's not even like a huge change. You can just like pass it off as like, oh, we already designed this after we finished making them. So we're just like following through what we've done with Hernkyn previously for Kill Team. So yeah, hopefully we get that. And this doesn't have to be based off stats. This just have to be based off what they've done for the Hernkyn Salvager kill team. Now we get onto the nerfs. So these are kill teams which have been overperforming. And generally overall, we only had 4 kill teams overperform slightly, but it increases as we go into more competitive and larger events. So starting off with the Wyrmblade, I think their main problem at the moment is just their cult ambush ability. You know, the hiding tactical ploy. I think it just needs some minor tweaks. So my suggestion would be the hiding tactical ploy either forces operatives to come down with conceal orders that cannot be changed, as we've seen with the termination kill teams, where those operatives that can forward deploy or get extra movement are locked into a conceal order or can't do fight or shoot actions. Or you can only select normal neophyte warriors. Because the biggest thing about this hiding ability is you can select 2 gunners or 2 heavy gunners or any combination of both, right? So I think just locking it to either they have to start on conceal, which they cannot change turning point 1, or limiting it to normal neophytes will help slightly reduce the power of the kill team without taking away the punch that they've gotten in the recent buffs. And I think this is enough of a subtle change to reflect the design decisions they've already made with the termination kill teams. So I think this is all Wyrmblade need, right? They're still a very powerful kill team, and it doesn't take away too much of their power. It just means they're not as oppressive turning point 1, but you still have to respect their plays. Next, we have the Gellerpox Infected. They have been slightly overperforming in general, and more as we get into more competitive events. But I think all they need at the moment is you just make mucoid vermin all share their group activation characteristic regardless of the combination of bugs taken. Because at the moment, if you basically take 3 of one bug and 1 of the other, it gives you 3 extra activations, because 2 of the 3 bugs are GA2, so they activate together, and then the lone bug from that selection of 3 activates, and then the other lone bug you select activates as well. So by making them all share the same group activation characteristic, it means you just go down from 11 activations altogether to 10, which I think would help a lot of people in general, especially elites. And then it also encourages more experimentation with the kill team, because now you may go, oh, instead of just taking 3 on 1 bug, I'll take 2 of the same. So I could take 2 fleas and 2 flies, or I could take all 4 of one type and then just have no penalty whatsoever. So I might just go like in Into the Dark, I'll probably run 4 slugs, and on open I may run 4 fleas. So I think it's a nice way to nerf the kill team without killing them, because this kill team has had so many nerfs. I think if you give them any more, the kill team will literally just stop to function. So I think bringing them down to 10 activations will be enough to gently just knock them out of the way. Like, not completely make them weak, but it means more teams in general have more ways to play around them because they would go down to 10 activations. Fellgor Ravager, the team that wasn't really properly nerfed in the last balanced Dataslate and has been quite overly performing heavily in general. So obviously, first thing, frenzied operatives cannot perform unique actions, as you kind of saw that, which they've done with the gong, right? Losing its abilities when it frenzies. Just make frenzied operatives can't do unique actions because they're literally angry. They're too angry. They can't remember what to do properly. They just become normal gores, basically, normal beastmen when they're frenzied. So, they still may have their unique weapon profiles and stuff, but they don't get any of their special tricks, right? Like, especially you could tie this into abilities as well if you wanted to. So like the leader couldn't do call the kill because he's frenzied, stuff like that. And then a nerf to frenzy, because frenzy is the biggest problem with this kill team, because Fellgor don't only gatekeep a ton of factions, they are really good themselves. So frenzied operatives, so frenzy doesn't trigger if incapacitated in engagement range, or doesn't trigger from activated operatives. So you have one of the other. So you can't frenzy if you're killed in combat, because it doesn't make sense, because it should be an anti-shooting mechanic. I'm like completely okay with someone shooting a ready Fellgor and that Fellgor frenzying. I think that's completely fine. I think it doesn't make sense you charge one, kill one by taking a lot of damage, and then they frenzy. Like, it's ridiculous. Or it doesn't trigger from activated operatives. So either of these changes would be fine, because even if it's at least not from activated operatives, it stopped people doing crazy things where they can just really push up aggressively, going like, well, you might be able to get one operative in range. At worst, you'll frenzy them. At best, I'll survive. Like, that's because even if they're frenzied, they still have a way to punish you back. So I think these changes would just keep this kill team in check, because the frenzy mechanic is so badly designed and way too overpowered. So hopefully this kind of change happens, although sadly I doubt it, because this kill team has basically survived a year with frenzy not being changed, but it may happen. So Inquisitorial Agents may shock people as a nerf, because they haven't been overperforming in general, but they have when you go into more competitive formats, when it goes to GT Long and GT Plus. So, and they've actually won a few events and winning a large event as well. And it's commonly accepted they're quite a toxic team to play against because they can be so powerful. So you actually only need one of these, right? And I'd be happy with either. But I think the first bullet point has to happen. So breaches, Imperial Navy breaches, should be reduced to 5 selections instead of 6. The fact you can select 6 breaches is crazy. I mean, you could even go say like they can't select the Grenadier anymore because the Grenadier just gives them 5 extra equipment points along with a crazy grenade. The breacher selection is way too efficient here. And actually, most Imperial Navy breacher players switch to Inquisitorial Agent. So I think that would just make the selection for the auxiliaries more healthy in general. Now, I have seen people say like, oh, you could make +1 Inquisitorial Agent operative and -1 ancillary supports. But literally, once again, you come into the same problem where you would need another box to bulk that out. So I think just reducing the Imperial Navy breaches down to 5 would just mean they can't take all the good breaches. Force them to make some more tougher decisions and bringing them down in activation to 10 activations, which is fine. And then if they wanted to make me very happy, make Absolute Authority CP1+. So even though you use it on different ploys, the more you use it, the more expensive it gets because it's way too powerful and never should have existed in the game. Never should have. But once again, I don't think the second bullet point is going to happen. Just the first. Because not only will you nerf this kill team and make it more tolerable to play against, you also make breacher players actually return to their home faction. Now, I've saved the best till last, you know. It's I think, something everyone can agree on. The only people who won't agree on Pathfinder nerfs are Pathfinder players. But as a Pathfinder player myself, don't worry, it's fine. We can take it. It's okay. Just nerf us. The changes to Pathfinders, just revert the recon drone trait. Make the recon drone 2 operatives to drop instead of 1. Never should have been 2. Oh my gosh, why was it 1? This is absolutely crazy. The drone scout ability does not allow the selected drone to change their order turning point 1. Once again, mirroring the Wyrmblade change, because as you can see in Termination, operative that forward deploy or get extra movement can't change their order turning point 1. So I think that's a fair change. It means now this kill team has to play more honest turning point 1 instead of forward deploying the gun drone, taking infiltrate, giving it +1 APL, it moves and dashes, shoots, and then you get the drone controller to make it shoot again, right? Just makes this team more fun to play against. And then I would also increase the cost of high intensity marker lights and enhanced targeting optics by 1 each. So they basically go up to 3 equipment points. So out of the gate, you can now no longer take 5 high intensity marker lights. You can only take a maximum of 3. And the reason it's done to enhance targeting optics as well, because if you just make high intensity marker lights cost more, people are just going to take enhanced targeting optics instead. So at least if you make them more expensive by 1, it reduces the level of marker light abuse and also makes it harder to get additional climbing gear. And the reason I am hitting Pathfinders is because they are still way too powerful at the moment. You ask most competitive players and like Pathfinders are way too good, but also they actually have been overperforming in the stats when it comes to GT+, but more importantly GT long, these long big events where, well, basically there are more competitive players, and Pathfinders have been doing really well. And I think it's just fine. Just nerf them. Everyone will be happy. Everyone will take all these nerfs, right? If you just do this to Pathfinders, it's a net gain. There is no downside to nerfing Pathfinders. Everyone will love it. Even Pathfinder players deep down, because they know they deserve these nerfs as well. As a Pathfinder player myself. So for the buffs and nerfs overview, once again, remember, it's all by the stats and it was for fun. It's for fun. None of these is... I mean, they probably won't all happen. I mean, some might. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But it's just a nice trying to buff elites while also trying to tone down some of the continually problematic teams. As I said, Legionary, giving them free roster selection for their marks, as well as making their shoot and fight action a single stratagem, and also buffing the Butcher, giving him 5 attacks, so that kill team has some nice internal balance. Making Intercession Squad giving rapid, allowing it to affect charges again and letting them do their chapter tactic, a trait change, 0 CP, so they have some more flexibility. Giving Kasrkin equipment blades that cost, combat blades that cost 2 EP but going up to 4 attacks, and getting their elite point stratagem 0 CP +1, so they have some more use with that. Hernkyn Yaegir's going to 5-inch move, like Halfkin Salvager. Scouts gain their lead ability not needing line of visibility. You can just pick anyone on the board. Operatives with the heavy gunners gaining cumbersome, them getting 7 scouting options instead of 5, and their little mine being selected up to 3 times instead of 1, just to give them some nice, extra nice usability without actually changing how they work. And then when it comes to nerfs, it's mainly just for Wyrmblade. If they use their hiding tactical ploy, you can either only select neophytes or the operative selected cannot change the order. They have to start on a conceal order and they can't change that order when they come down turning point 1. Gellerpox make the mutoid vermin share their group activation of 2. So no matter what combination of bugs, you only get 10 activations instead of 11 to help bring them down to allow more counterplay. Inquisition lose a selection on selecting breaches, so they can only select 5 breaches instead of 6. And if they wanted to go a bit further, making absolute authority +1 CP. Fellgor, frenzied operatives can't use any unique abilities or actions. They are just angry goats. And frenzy either doesn't trigger when you kill someone in close combat or only triggers on ready operatives. So if someone's activated, they don't frenzy. And then Pathfinders. The recon drone is 2 operatives instead of 1. High intensity marker lights and targeting optics go up to 3 equipment points, and the drone can't change their order. Some nice synergy there. So with all those changes, considering this is probably, as I said repeatedly, that this might be the last balance day of the season, just some nice internal balancing and minor tweaks here and there. None of these are too huge. Maybe the Pathfinders, but honestly, I think Pathfinders are way too toxic and deserve it. I think that's pretty good. You know, unfortunately, you leave a lot of other teams, but there's not enough data in terms of the termination to kill teams. And I've left Warp Coven alone, even though Warp Coven and Blooded, right? They both overperformed, but I think Blooded, just leave Blooded alone, right? Blooded will change once Brood Brothers drop. Like once people are just going to go to Brood Brothers, so just leave Blooded players. They're fine, right? And then Warp Coven, once again, just leave them. They're fine. Just leave Warp Coven alone. Just let them see how they do for another 3 months or whatever. Just let them ride it out. It's fine, right? And then, like, I even looked at giving, like, Blades of Cain some buffs, but then Blades of Cain have been, like, doing really well in general. So Blades of Cain players have stopped themselves getting buffs. And even Kroot, Fast Talker Kinband have been doing well. So look, maybe I was wrong, right? Me and the other Kroot players, it turns out we were absolutely wrong. It turns out those Kroot buffs were actually all they needed to be viable. Absolutely wild. Breaches I've left alone because I think they will be better because most of them have moved to Imperial Navy. I mean to Imperial Inquisitorial Agent. So once you nerf those, they'll go back to breaches. But you know, I think it would be a nice change to see like elites getting more buffs to become a little bit more usable. Considering they're in a quite tough spot at the moment. Like even Harlequins are doing well, right? Interesting. Like I wouldn't buff a team because they're not well represented, even if they have a fine win rate, like Chaos Cult. And even though Void Dancer Troop have dropped off, most of their plays have gone to Mandrakes. Because another thing is, I need to cover this in another video, but we have too many factions. So we can't start going, oh, we need to buff this kill team because not enough people are playing it. We have nearly 40 factions. That's like more than armies than 40k has. So I think focusing the way it is now is fine. And hopefully this is just nice enough a change. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you like it or did you hate it? Or did anything I missed that you would have buffed? You know, because I went off the stats, what would you have changed? And remember, it's for fun. And I also have a Discord down in the episode description below, an affiliate link, Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Willax, Tom, Super Cow, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, John Thomas, Graham, Freeman Go, David, Dave Meets World, Dad of Goldens, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Sam Just. Thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, based on my output for this week, I may have another video. I'll also be down at Bristol for the first time for a kill team tournament, and I'll probably be doing some live streaming this week because I'm prepping for the Goonhammer Open next week, and it's going to be fun because I'm going to be live streaming it, so I have a lot of stuff I need to prepare and show off, so it should be fine. But yeah, I think these changes would be nice and fun. You know, we got a lot more buffs for popular kill teams, nerfs for a lot of infamous kill teams. Look, generally, look, kill team players will be naturally happy the more operatives you remove from Pathfinders. Think about it. Games Workshop could remove one Pathfinder operative every 3 months and it would only just be a net positive. That would be my change for game balance. So remember, I'm not a playtester, and no matter what happens with balance changes when it comes to kill team, you always have a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.